Hey, welcome back. I'm Julia, and if you've ever wondered why some men come back from a trip completely changed, not just with a tan, but with a whole new outlook on love and relationships, this video is going to answer every question you didn't even know you had. Because today, we're going around the world, and I'm going to take you through the top 15 countries where women are known for being some of the most loving, passionate, and romantically devoted partners on the planet. We're talking about culture, personality, upbringing, values, the whole picture. So buckle up, because this is going to be one of those videos you're going to watch more than once. Country 1, Brazil. Let's start where the heat is almost unbearable. And I'm not just talking about the weather. Brazil. If you've ever set foot in Rio de Janeiro or walked the streets of São Paulo as the sun goes down and the music starts floating out of every bar and restaurant window, you already know there's something different in the air here. Brazilian women have a reputation that goes far beyond what most people expect. And trust me, once you understand the culture, it all makes perfect sense. Brazilian culture is built around the idea of togetherness, family, community, celebration. These are not just words people say. They're the actual foundation of everyday life. Women grow up watching their mothers, aunts, and grandmothers pour enormous amounts of love and warmth into their relationships, and that behavior gets passed down almost like an inheritance. By the time a Brazilian woman enters a romantic relationship, she already has a deeply ingrained understanding of what it means to love someone fully and without reservation. Now, one of the most striking things about Brazilian women when it comes to love is their physical expressiveness. In Brazilian culture, touch is a love language that everyone speaks fluently. Holding hands in public, a hand on the back, long embraces when greeting someone. None of this is unusual or performative. It's simply how people connect. And in a romantic relationship, that physical expressiveness translates into a kind of warmth that many men from more reserved cultures find genuinely overwhelming in the best possible way. Brazilian women are also incredibly social. They love to go out, they love to dance, they love to host and be hosted. Samba and forró are not just music genres, they're cultural rituals that bring people together. If you're with a Brazilian woman and she invites you to dance, know that she's not just asking you to move your feet. She's inviting you into her world. She's showing you how she expresses joy, and she wants you to be part of that. Something that surprises a lot of foreigners is how seriously Brazilian women take loyalty. There's a stereotype out there that Brazilian women are casual about relationships, and I want to push back on that pretty firmly, because the reality is almost the opposite. Brazilian women tend to be intensely loyal partners once they've made a genuine commitment. They expect the same in return, and they're very perceptive. They can usually tell pretty quickly whether someone is being genuine or just playing games. The passion in Brazilian relationships is also something that needs to be talked about honestly. Disagreements happen, emotions run high, and nobody pretends everything is fine when it isn't. But that same passion is what makes the love so real. Brazilian women don't do half measures. When they love you, you feel it in everything they do. The way they cook for you, the way they check in on you, the way they make sure you feel seen and celebrated even on an ordinary. Brazil is also a country with enormous regional diversity. Women from the Northeast, like Bahia or Pernambuco, tend to have a more laid-back and soulful energy, deeply connected to Afro-Brazilian traditions and a rhythm of life that feels almost musical. Women from São Paulo might be more ambitious and fast-paced, juggling careers and social lives with impressive efficiency, but that warmth never disappears. It's just expressed in different ways. If you ever find yourself in Brazil, pay attention to the small gestures. The way a woman offers you food before she's served herself. The way she remembers something you mentioned once in passing and brings it up weeks later. The way she makes the people she loves feel like the most important people in the room. That's Brazilian love, and it's something truly special. Country 2, Colombia. Right next door in spirit, though a few thousand miles away geographically, Colombia deserves its own chapter entirely. Colombian women have been getting a lot of attention in the travel and dating world over the last decade or so, and honestly, when you spend time there, you understand why. Colombia is a country that has been through extraordinary hardship, and what has come out of that history is a culture of resilience, gratitude, and an almost fierce appreciation for the good things in life, love being one of the most important. Medellin, Bogota, Cartagena, Cali, each city has its own energy, but there's a common thread running through all of them when it comes to how women approach relationships. Colombian women are raised with a strong emphasis on family. The concept of the extended family is central to Colombian life in a way that influences everything, including how women think about romantic partnerships. A relationship isn't just between two people, it's something that connects families and communities. That might sound intense, but what it actually produces is women who take love seriously, who think long term, and who invest deeply in the people they choose to be with. Colombian women are also known for their confidence. There's a self-assurance that comes naturally to many Colombian women, and it shows in the way they carry themselves, the way they dress, and the way they engage with the world. But here's what's interesting, that confidence doesn't translate into coldness or distance. Colombian women tend to be incredibly warm and approachable. They'll greet you like they've known you forever and make you feel comfortable almost immediately. The romantic culture in Colombia is also something worth understanding. Courtship is still very much a thing. Men are generally expected to make an effort, to be attentive, to plan, to show genuine interest. And when that effort is reciprocated by a Colombian woman, the experience is unforgettable. She'll cook for you. She'll introduce you to her family. She'll make sure you feel like the most important person in her life, because for her, that's just what love looks like. Cali deserves a special mention because of salsa. Caleña women are considered some of the best salsa dancers in the world, and salsa in Cali isn't just a dance, it's a way of communicating. Watching a Caleña dance is like watching someone have a conversation with their whole body. And in a relationship, that same expressiveness comes through in how they show affection, how they communicate, and how they celebrate life. Colombian women are also remarkably resilient. The country has faced decades of conflict and economic hardship, and women there have had to be strong, emotionally, practically, in every way. But that strength doesn't make them hard. If anything, it makes their love feel more intentional, more earned, and more genuine. When a Colombian woman loves you, she's made a real choice to do so, and she brings everything she has to that choice. Country 3. Italy. Now let's cross the Atlantic and head somewhere that's been synonymous with romance for centuries, Italy. Just saying the word conjures images. Cobblestone streets, candlelit dinners, the sound of Italian rolling off someone's tongue in a way that makes even grocery shopping sound poetic. And Italian women, particularly in the South, have a reputation for passion and devotion that is not at all exaggerated. Italian culture places an extraordinary value on beauty in all its forms. The beauty of food, of art, of architecture, of human connection. Women in Italy grow up in an environment where taking care of the people you love is considered one of the most important things a person can do. This shows up in countless small ways, in the meticulous way meals are prepared and shared, in the warmth with which guests are welcomed into a home, in the way Italian women express affection as a constant, ongoing gesture rather than a grand occasional event. Italian women are passionate, full stop. There's an emotional directness to Italian women that many people from Northern European or American cultures find both thrilling and a little startling at first. They will tell you what they think. They will tell you how they feel. They won't sit across from you quietly wondering whether you're happy. They'll ask, and then they'll do something about it. This emotional openness is the result of a culture where feelings are not something to be managed and suppressed, but something to be expressed and honored. The southern regions of Italy, Sicily, Calabria, Campania, tend to produce women with an especially strong sense of family loyalty and romantic devotion. In these regions, love is almost a sacred concept. A woman from Sicily who has chosen to be with you is not playing games. She's made a serious decision, and she'll back it up with everything she has: her cooking, her loyalty, her protectiveness, and her genuine deep interest in your well-being and happiness. Northern Italian women tend to be a bit more reserved by comparison, more influenced by a European sophistication that prizes elegance over expressiveness. But even there, the underlying warmth is present. It just takes a little longer to reach, and when you do, it's no less real. One of the most beautiful things about Italian women in relationships is the way they bring people into their world. Being invited to an Italian woman's family Sunday lunch is not a casual thing. That's a statement. That's her saying, "You matter to me, and I want the people who matter most to me to know you." Those lunches, with their multiple courses and overlapping conversations and genuine laughter, are some of the most loving environments you'll ever find yourself in. Italian women also tend to age with a grace and confidence that's genuinely striking. There's no apologizing for who they are at any age. They know their worth, they carry themselves accordingly, and their love, when you earn it, has a depth and richness that comes from a culture that has been thinking about love, art, and beauty for thousands of years. Country 4. Philippines. From the Mediterranean, let's travel east to a group of islands that might surprise you with just how profoundly loving the women there tend to be. The Philippines is made up of over 7,000 islands, and what unifies them is a culture of extraordinary warmth, hospitality, and genuine care for other people. Filipino women, often referred to as Filipinas, have a long and well-established reputation for being some of the most devoted and loving partners in the world, and understanding why requires a look at the culture they come from. Filipino culture is deeply influenced by both indigenous traditions and centuries of Spanish colonial influence, which brought with it a strong Catholic faith. Family is not just important in the Philippines, it is essentially the organizing principle of society. 3 or 4 generations living under the same roof or in very close proximity is completely normal. Children grow up watching their parents, aunts, uncles, and grandparents navigate relationships with a kind of collective wisdom that's hard to find in more individualistic societies. What this produces in Filipino women is a remarkable capacity for selfless love. Filipinas are known for putting their family, and by extension, the people they love romantically, before themselves in ways that can feel almost astonishing to someone from a more individualistic culture. This isn't a weakness or a lack of self-worth. It's a deeply intentional choice rooted in values that prioritize the well-being of the people you love over personal convenience. Filipino women are also incredibly cheerful and resilient. The Philippines is a country that faces natural disasters regularly: typhoons, earthquakes, floods, and the cultural response to hardship there is one of the most admirable things about the Filipino people. There's a concept called bayanihan, which refers to the community spirit of helping one another in times of need. That spirit lives in Filipino women's relationships too. When life gets hard, they don't run. They stay and they help and they find a way to smile through it. The warmth of Filipino hospitality is also something that flows directly into their romantic relationships. When a Filipina invites you into her life, you are genuinely welcomed. Not just tolerated, not just accommodated, but truly, enthusiastically welcomed. She'll make sure you're fed, that you're comfortable, that you know where everything is, and that you feel at home. That hospitality is love in action. Filipinas also tend to be very expressive in their affection, though in a gentler way than, say, Brazilian or Italian women. There's a sweetness to Filipino romantic expression: little gestures, handwritten messages, the remembering of small details, the consistent checking in to make sure you're okay. These things might seem minor in isolation, but when they're consistent and genuine, they add up to something that feels profoundly loving. It's also worth noting that Filipino women are typically very serious about commitment. Divorce was only very recently made more accessible in the Philippines, and even now, the cultural expectation around marriage and long-term partnership is one of deep loyalty and dedication. When a Filipina chooses to be with you, she's thinking about the long game, and she expects that same seriousness in return. Country 5, Ukraine. Moving into Eastern Europe now, and specifically to a country that has shown the world something extraordinary about strength and love existing at the same time. Ukrainian women have long been celebrated in the international dating and travel community for a very specific combination of qualities: genuine warmth, strong family values, exceptional beauty by conventional standards, and a quiet resilience that has only been deepened by the events of recent years. Ukraine is a country going through immense hardship, and yet the spirit of Ukrainian women remains something to behold. Ukrainian culture has deep roots in an agricultural, community-based way of life, and while Ukraine has modernized significantly, those roots show up in how women there relate to love and family. Ukrainian women tend to be serious about relationships in a way that reflects a broader cultural understanding that love is not casual. It's a commitment, a responsibility, and something worth working for. Family is enormously important to Ukrainian women. The relationship between a Ukrainian woman and her mother, her grandmother, her siblings is often extremely close. And when she enters into a romantic relationship, she's hoping to build something that mirrors that closeness. She wants partnership in the truest sense, someone who is present, reliable, and emotionally invested. Ukrainian women are also known for making enormous effort in their relationships. This shows up in practical ways. The care they put into a home, into meals, into making the people they love feel valued and cared for. There's a tradition in Ukrainian culture of domestic love as an expression of deep care, and while modern Ukrainian women are certainly not defined by domesticity alone, many are highly educated and professionally ambitious, that instinct to nurture and care for the people they love tends to remain intact. Something that strikes a lot of people who spend time in Ukraine or get to know Ukrainian women is their emotional depth. There's a soulfulness to the culture, expressed in its music, its poetry, its folk traditions, that shows up in how women there experience and express love. It's not a surface-level thing. When a Ukrainian woman loves you, she loves you in a way that includes your flaws, your struggles, your complicated past. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for someone real. Ukrainian women are also extraordinarily loyal under pressure. The events that have unfolded in Ukraine in recent years have demonstrated something about the Ukrainian character that the whole world has witnessed: an unwillingness to abandon what they love, even when the cost is enormous. That same quality shows up in how Ukrainian women approach their most important relationships. Country 6, Thailand. Now let's travel to Southeast Asia, to a country where the concept of caring for others has been elevated to something close to an art form. Thailand is known as the land of smiles, and while that reputation is sometimes simplified or oversold for tourists, there is a genuine cultural truth underneath it. Thai culture is heavily influenced by Theravada Buddhism, which places enormous emphasis on kindness, compassion, patience, and the avoidance of unnecessary conflict. These values show up very directly in how Thai women relate to the people they love. Thai women are famously gentle. There's a softness and a consideration in the way they communicate, the way they move through the world, and the way they treat the people they care about. This doesn't mean they're passive. Thai women can be very determined and quietly strong, but they express themselves in a way that feels tender rather than aggressive, and in a romantic context, that gentleness is deeply appealing. The concept of sanuk, which roughly translates to fun and enjoyment of life, is central to Thai culture, and it influences how Thai women approach relationships. There's a lightness to Thai romantic culture, a sense that life should be enjoyed, and that your partner should be someone who adds to that enjoyment rather than subtracting from it. Thai women tend to have a playful quality, a sense of humor, and an ability to find joy in everyday moments that makes being around them genuinely pleasant. Thai women also take care of the people in their lives in very practical, hands-on ways. If you're with a Thai woman, she'll notice when you're tired before you say anything. She'll make sure you've eaten. She'll handle things quietly in the background so that your day runs more smoothly. There's a kind of attentive, proactive care that's built into the Thai way of loving someone, and it's the kind of thing you might not even fully notice until you're away from it. Respect is also a core value in Thai culture, and it flows in both directions in a healthy relationship. Thai women tend to be very respectful of their partners, and they expect that respect to be returned. The concept of face, maintaining dignity and avoiding public embarrassment, is important in Thai culture, and understanding that goes a long way in any relationship with a Thai woman. Thailand also has enormous regional diversity. Women from the north, particularly around Chiang Mai, are known for being especially gentle and culturally traditional, connected to the Lana culture that predates Thailand as a modern nation. Women from Bangkok tend to be more cosmopolitan, more accustomed to navigating international contexts, and often highly educated and professionally driven. Women from the South have their own character, influenced by both Buddhist and Muslim traditions depending on the region. Country 7. Spain. Back to Europe, and to a country that has made passion into a national identity. Spain. Flamenco, red wine, late dinners, long summers. The Spanish way of life is built around pleasure, and Spanish women are products of that culture in the most wonderful way. If you've spent time in Spain, you already know that the energy there is different. Life moves on its own schedule. People prioritize enjoying the present moment, and love is something that is taken completely seriously, even when it's being celebrated loudly. Spanish women are known for their fiery personalities, and that reputation is earned. They're direct, they're confident, and they don't pretend to feel things they don't feel or hide things they do feel. If a Spanish woman is attracted to you, you'll probably know. And if she's not impressed, you'll know that too, which is honestly refreshing in a world full of ambiguity. That directness is rooted in a culture that values authenticity above politeness. But here's the thing about Spanish women that sometimes gets overlooked. Underneath that fire is an enormous capacity for tenderness. The passion that makes Spanish women seem intimidating is the same passion that makes them incredibly devoted partners. When a Spanish woman loves you, she loves you loudly and completely. She'll fight for the relationship. She'll show up. She'll make sure you know in no uncertain terms that you matter to her. Spanish women also tend to be incredibly social, and love in Spain is rarely something that exists in isolation. It exists within a broader network of friends, family, and community. Being integrated into a Spanish woman's social world is a significant sign of how she feels about you. And once you're in that world, you'll find a warmth and inclusivity that's genuinely remarkable. Dinners go on for hours, conversations about everything and nothing, laughter that fills an entire restaurant. The regional differences in Spain are also worth noting. Women from Andalusia in the south tend to have a particularly warm and expressive character, deeply connected to flamenco culture and the rhythms of life in places like Seville and Granada. Women from Catalonia, particularly Barcelona, tend to be a bit more reserved and European in their manner, but that warmth is absolutely there. Women from the Basque Country have their own fierce independence and pride, and in a relationship that translates into a kind of strong, grounded loyalty. Spain also has a culture of lingering. Meals are long, evenings stretch. Nobody is in a rush to get to the next thing because the current thing, the conversation, the connection, the moment, is worth staying in. In a relationship, that quality means a Spanish woman is genuinely present with you. She's not half somewhere else while you're talking to her. She's there, fully, and that presence is one of the most loving things a person can offer. Country 8. Mexico. Crossing back to the Americas, Mexico brings with it a richness of culture and a depth of warmth that deserves its own extended spotlight. Mexican women are some of the most family-oriented, loving, and expressive women in the world, and it all starts with the culture they grow up in. Mexico has one of the most vibrant and complex cultural tapestries on the planet. Indigenous traditions, Spanish colonial influence, a deeply embedded Catholic faith, and a contemporary energy that is constantly evolving. Women in Mexico navigate all of these layers, and what emerges is someone with a very particular kind of emotional intelligence. Family in Mexico is everything. This is not an overstatement. The concept of familia in Mexican culture goes beyond just blood relatives. It includes godparents, close friends, neighbors who have been around for decades, and Mexican women are raised at the center of that web of relationships, learning from a very young age how to tend to people, how to make them feel loved, and how to keep those bonds strong through time and difficulty. Mexican women are also extraordinary cooks, and I don't say that to reduce them to a stereotype. I say it because in Mexican culture, feeding someone is a profound act of love. The preparation of food, the gathering around a table, the sharing of flavors that have been passed down through generations. These are not mundane domestic acts. They are rituals of love and belonging. When a Mexican woman invites you to eat with her family, she's giving you something deeply meaningful. The warmth of Mexican women is immediate and genuine. There's an openness in the culture that makes people easy to approach and easy to talk to. Mexican women tend to be interested in people, curious about where you come from, what you love, what you're afraid of. That curiosity is an expression of genuine care, and it makes for incredibly rich conversations and connections. Mexican women are also known for their loyalty and their protectiveness of the people they love. Once you're part of a Mexican woman's inner circle, she will go to remarkable lengths to support you and defend you. That loyalty has deep cultural roots in a country that has faced enormous challenges historically and continues to navigate complex social and economic realities. The people you trust and love are your most important resource. The regional diversity of Mexico is also extraordinary. Women from Oaxaca, with its deep indigenous traditions and extraordinary food culture, have a particular earthiness and rootedness that is incredibly appealing. Women from Mexico City are urban, sophisticated, and intellectually vibrant. Women from the coastal regions tend to be more relaxed, connected to the rhythms of the sea. Every region adds its own dimension to what it means to be a Mexican woman in love. Country 9. Russia. Now let's head into the vast and complex territory of Russia, where love has a weight and a seriousness that is almost literary in quality. Russian women have a reputation that precedes them almost everywhere in the world, and while some of that reputation is wrapped up in stereotypes, the core of it is rooted in something real. Russian women tend to bring an enormous seriousness and depth to their romantic relationships, and that seriousness is the product of a culture that has historically understood hardship, loss, and the fragility of happiness in a very visceral way. Russian literature, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Chekhov, is obsessed with love, suffering, longing, and the complexity of human relationships. That's not an accident. It's a reflection of something in the Russian soul that takes the interior life extraordinarily seriously. Russian women grow up in this cultural environment, and it shapes how they think about love. A relationship isn't a casual arrangement. It's something weighty and meaningful, something that demands your full attention and your complete honesty. Russian women are known for being incredibly attentive partners. They notice things. They remember things. If you've mentioned once that you prefer a certain kind of tea, she'll have it waiting for you the next time you visit. If you've had a hard week at work, she'll find a way to make the weekend feel like a genuine escape. These are the small, consistent acts of care that Russian women are known for, and they add up to something that feels deeply personal and deeply loving. Russian women are also known for their elegance and the effort they put into their appearance and their homes. There's a pride in presentation that's culturally embedded, and in a relationship, that pride extends to creating a beautiful, warm environment for the people they love. Homes are kept with care, meals are prepared with intention, guests are received with genuine hospitality. These are not performances, they're expressions of love made visible. There's also a quiet strength to Russian women that is very striking. Russia is not an easy place to live, economically, socially, geographically, and the women there have had to develop a resilience that is bone deep. That strength means that when a Russian woman commits to a relationship, she's not doing it lightly. She's made a considered, serious choice, and she's prepared to invest in it fully. Country 10. Peru, South America continues to deliver, and Peru is one of the most underrated countries in this conversation. Peruvian women bring a unique combination of indigenous cultural heritage, Spanish influence, and a modern urban sensibility that makes them genuinely fascinating partners. Lima, Cusco, Arequipa, each city has its own character, but across all of them, you find women with a particular warmth and groundedness that is deeply appealing. Peruvian culture is one of the oldest continuous civilizations on the planet, with roots going back to the great Andean empires. That historical depth shows up in a kind of cultural seriousness and pride that Peruvians carry with them. Peruvian women are proud of where they come from, their food, their traditions, their history. And in a relationship, That cultural richness becomes something they share generously with the person they love. Peruvian food is considered one of the great cuisines of the world, and in a culture where food is so central to identity, sharing a meal is a genuinely meaningful act. A Peruvian woman who cooks for you is telling you something important about how she feels. Ceviche prepared with care, ají de gallina made from a grandmother's recipe, a pisco sour prepared with intention. These are love languages spoken in Peruvian culture. Peruvian women from the coast tend to be more urban and fast-paced, with the sophisticated energy of Lima. Peruvian women from the highlands, particularly around Cusco and the Andean regions, have a different quality, more connected to the earth, more traditional, with a spirituality rooted in indigenous Andean beliefs that gives them a particular depth and groundedness. Both are extraordinary in their own ways. Family is central to Peruvian women's sense of self, and a relationship is almost always understood in the context of family. If a Peruvian woman is serious about you, her family will know about you relatively quickly, and meeting them is a significant milestone. Once you're inside that family circle, you'll experience a warmth and inclusivity that is genuinely moving. Country 11, Indonesia. Asia's largest archipelago nation brings with it a stunning diversity of cultures, and what ties them together, at least in how women relate to love and family, is something remarkably consistent. Indonesian women, across the thousands of islands and the hundreds of distinct ethnic groups that make up this extraordinary country, tend to share a quality of quiet devotion and genuine warmth that is deeply rooted in their cultures and, for many, in their faith. Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim-majority nation, but it's also home to significant Hindu, Christian, and Buddhist communities, each with their own traditions and their own understanding of love and commitment. Javanese women, from the island of Java, where Jakarta and Yogyakarta are located, are particularly known for their gentle, refined manner. Javanese culture has a long tradition of valuing emotional restraint, grace, and an indirect, subtle form of communication that prizes harmony above all else. In a romantic relationship, a Javanese woman tends to be patient, attentive, and deeply considerate. She'll rarely raise her voice. She'll rarely be dramatic. But her love will be consistent, thoughtful, and expressed in 1,000 small ways that make life alongside her feel profoundly comfortable. Balinese women, by contrast, bring the warmth of Hindu Balinese culture, a world of ceremony, art, and spiritual devotion that permeates every aspect of daily life. Being with a Balinese woman means being welcomed into a world of extraordinary beauty and ritual, where flowers are offered at temples every morning and the preparation of ceremonial food is an act of devotion. That spiritual attentiveness extends to how she loves and cares for the people in her life. Indonesian women across the board tend to be very family-oriented, and the expectation in most Indonesian cultures is that a serious relationship leads to marriage and the building of a family. Women there are typically raised with a strong sense of responsibility to their families and communities, and that sense of responsibility makes them thoughtful, reliable, and deeply invested partners. Country 12. Argentina, back to South America for one of the most dramatically romantic cultures on the planet, Argentina, the tango. Buenos Aires with its European elegance and Latin heat, the sweeping landscapes of Patagonia in the south and the wine country of Mendoza to the west. Argentina is a country of extraordinary beauty and extraordinary emotional intensity, and Argentine women are products of all of it. Argentine culture has deep European roots, primarily Spanish and Italian, but it's been transformed over centuries into something distinctly its own. The people are passionate, opinionated, sophisticated, and deeply proud of their culture. Argentine women reflect all of these qualities, and in a romantic context, that combination is genuinely compelling. Argentine women are known for their intelligence and their willingness to engage deeply on almost any subject. Buenos Aires is one of the most educated cities in Latin America, with a rich tradition of philosophy, psychoanalysis, literature, and political thought. Argentine women tend to be curious and articulate, and they expect their partners to match that energy. A great conversation is not just pleasant for an Argentine woman, it's a form of intimacy. The tango is important here not just as a dance, but as a metaphor for how Argentine women approach romance. Tango requires two people to communicate entirely through physical movement, to follow and lead and respond to each other in real time, without words. That's actually a pretty good description of how Argentine women relate to love. They're attuned to the emotional dynamics between themselves and their partners, responsive to shifts in energy, and deeply engaged in the ongoing dance of the relationship. Argentine women are also famously loyal and intensely protective of the people they love. Family is enormously important, and an Argentine woman's mother and siblings will almost certainly be significant presences in any serious relationship. Learning to navigate those relationships with grace is important, and the rewards, being truly embraced by an Argentine family, with all the warmth and chaos that entails, are considerable. The passion in Argentine relationships is real, and it's palpable. Things can get intense. Disagreements are not handled quietly, but the love is equally intense, equally loud, and it has a richness and depth that comes from people who take their emotional lives very seriously. Country 13, Ghana. Now let's head to West Africa, to a country that offers one of the warmest and most genuine romantic cultures on the continent. Ghana is often called the gateway to Africa, and it earns that title not just geographically, but in terms of the openness and warmth of its people. Ghanaian women bring to relationships a particular combination of strength, grace, and genuine devotion that is shaped by a culture where community, family, and mutual support are foundational values. Ghanaian culture is deeply communal. The idea of Ubuntu, that a person is defined by their relationships and their community, is expressed differently across West Africa, but in Ghana it shows up in how people take care of each other, how decisions are made collectively, and how love is understood not just as a private feeling, but as something that serves a broader social purpose. Ghanaian women grow up in this environment, and it produces in them a genuine orientation toward the well-being of others. Ghanaian women are known for their strength and their ambition alongside their warmth. Ghana has a relatively strong tradition of female education and professional achievement, and Ghanaian women are increasingly visible in business, medicine, law, and politics. But that ambition doesn't come at the expense of their warmth or their commitment to the people they love. Ghanaian women are remarkable at holding multiple identities, professional, familial, romantic, with considerable grace. Food, as in so many of these cultures, is a central expression of love in Ghana. Jollof rice, fufu, and soup, kelewele, these are dishes that Ghanaian women prepare with enormous pride and care. Sharing food is sharing love, and being fed by a Ghanaian woman who has put genuine effort into a meal is an experience that speaks volumes about how she feels about you. Ghanaian women also tend to have a particular joy and humor that makes their company incredibly enjoyable. There's a lightness to Ghanaian social culture, lots of laughter, warmth, teasing, and genuine delight in each other's company. In a relationship, that quality keeps things alive and prevents the heaviness that can sometimes settle into long-term partnerships. Country 14, Portugal. We're in the home stretch now, and Portugal deserves a moment of quiet attention because the love that comes out of this small, beautiful country has a particular quality unlike anywhere else. Portugal is the birthplace of fado, a musical tradition that captures something at the heart of the Portuguese soul: saudade. Saudade is a word that doesn't translate perfectly into any other language. It describes a kind of longing, a deep emotional connection to people and places and times that are not present, an ache for something beloved. And Portuguese women carry this quality in how they love. Their love has depth. It has memory. It has a bittersweet awareness of how precious connection is, precisely because nothing lasts forever. Portuguese women tend to be warm without being effusive, affectionate without being dramatic. There's a quiet quality to their love that feels steady and real. When a Portuguese woman loves you, she doesn't necessarily announce it loudly. She demonstrates it through consistent, thoughtful presence. She remembers the things that matter to you. She shows up when it counts. She builds something with you slowly and carefully, the way the Portuguese have built their relationships with the sea, with patience, with respect for the difficulty of the thing, and with a deep commitment to the long haul. Portugal has also produced some of the most generous and hospitable people in Europe. Being welcomed into a Portuguese home is a genuine experience of warmth. Long meals, excellent wine, pastéis de nata for dessert, and conversations that meander beautifully through every subject imaginable. Portuguese women are wonderful hosts and wonderful companions, and that hosting quality extends into their romantic relationships in a way that makes their partners feel consistently cared for. Lisbon and Porto are both cities that have a strong cultural life, and Portuguese women in these cities tend to be educated, culturally engaged, and interesting to talk to. They're connected to their history. Portugal has an extraordinary history of exploration and global connection, and that historical awareness gives them a perspective that is thoughtful and often surprisingly cosmopolitan, despite the country's small size. Country 15, Ethiopia. And for our final country, we travel to East Africa, to one of the oldest continuous civilizations on Earth, and to women who bring a depth of character and genuine warmth that leaves a permanent impression. Ethiopia is unlike anywhere else in Africa, and unlike almost anywhere else in the world. It's the only African country that was never colonized, and that independence has preserved a cultural continuity and a sense of identity that is palpable the moment you arrive. Addis Ababa, the capital, is a city of enormous energy and contrasts. The countryside, from the Simien Mountains to the Great Rift Valley, is breathtaking, and Ethiopian women, shaped by this extraordinary place and its history, are among the most distinctive and genuinely loving women in the world. Ethiopian culture places enormous value on dignity, hospitality, and respect. The Ethiopian coffee ceremony, which involves roasting the beans from scratch and sharing multiple cups over extended conversation, is essentially a cultural ritual of welcome and connection. When an Ethiopian woman invites you into a coffee ceremony, she is offering you something very important. She is offering you her time, her hospitality, and her genuine desire to know you and be known by you. Ethiopian women are known for a particular combination of poise and warmth. There's a grace to the way Ethiopian women carry themselves that is immediately striking, and it's matched by a genuine interest in the people around them. Ethiopian women from urban backgrounds, particularly in Addis Ababa, tend to be educated and professionally ambitious, navigating a rapidly modernizing city while remaining deeply connected to their cultural traditions. Women from more rural areas tend to be more traditional, with an even stronger connection to the extended family networks and community structures that define Ethiopian life. Family, as always, is central. Ethiopian family structures are often large and intergenerational, with aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents all playing significant roles in daily life. When an Ethiopian woman enters into a romantic relationship, she's thinking about how her partner fits into that wider network, and when you find your place within it, you'll experience a sense of belonging that is genuinely profound. Ethiopian women are also known for their resilience. Ethiopia has faced famines, conflict, and political upheaval in recent decades, and the women there have had to be strong in ways that are almost unimaginable. But like so many of the women on this list, that strength doesn't harden them, it deepens them. Their love, when you have it, carries the weight of people who know what matters because they've seen what can be lost. Conclusion. So there you have it. 15 countries, 15 cultures, and 15 unique expressions of what it means to love deeply and truly. What I hope you take away from this is not a checklist or a ranking, but an appreciation for the extraordinary diversity of love in this world, and the way culture shapes not just how people act, but who they are and what they're capable of giving. The most important thing in any of these places is to show up with genuine respect and genuine curiosity. Love finds people who are open to it. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one.